everybody from Growing Monarch Homestead. I know it's been a while since we've been doing some recording. But I have not ever done a video on this, and I thought it might be a good idea. I'm sitting in my pseudo office slash place where the dogs hang out, and he wants in his crate. So back when we were in Florida, probably pretty soon after Carrie and I were married, so I'm going to say around 2014, we joined a small group, a Dave Ramsey small group, for getting out of debt and living more of a financial peace lifestyle, which has been an up and downhill ride, just like my weight. So anyway, I started using a lot of their tools that they have, but I converted, actually Carrie converted a spreadsheet on the computer so that I could have a allocated spending plan and work with it. And it sometimes can be frustrating, but for the most part, it's been very helpful, especially since he added a few different spreadsheets, which are really simple once you get them set up, so that you can track the feed, age of your animals. You can do this on a yearly basis, and I don't know if y'all know this or not, but even as a homestead, which the tax man doesn't particularly like you calling it a homestead, it's a small farm. So on the small farm, you can use all of this information and submit it with your taxes, and they are able to put that through and offset any income you may have coming in, whether you have a spouse or yourself or both of you working off of your farm for income. Then you can use all of these expenses to offset that income. So as well as even if you're actually selling food, plant starts, meats, whatever you're doing, you can also use this as well. But like I said, this is just, and it's even good just to know, it helps you figure out what your costs to raise your meat and the feed and all the paraphernalia that comes into it. I mean, some of the things that you have to get, you can reuse and reuse. Sometimes you end up getting more than you need, which I've learned with feeders and such. In my particular case, when you're spreading the animals out into larger areas and everything isn't flat, you don't have a four-wheeler or a side-by-side, and if you're like me, challenged with mobility, it can get really tiring, and then you end up with injuries, which I've had. So all of these things that you may end up finding another way. So I really encourage you to check out YouTube channels and Google and get involved in any local homestead groups so that you can kind of gain knowledge from them, and maybe not put out so much money in the beginning on something that you end up putting in a shelf, which happens for me. It's definitely happened for me. So I wanted to just quickly show you how this is set up. Let's see if you can see this. It's going to be a little blinky. We know how computer screens are on a camera, but I'll try to explain. So basically what we put over here is a description of, this is the feed spreadsheet. So currently we are not using non-layer soy. This is something we've learned over time when it comes to poultry. And we learned this from Justin Rhodes and several other people in the homesteading community. When you get your baby chicks, no matter what they are, whether they be meat birds, layers, even turkeys. Yes, you want to have them on a starter in the beginning. And normally what you would be doing is, if it was a meat bird, you want it on broiler feed, has a higher percentage of protein in it. The layer feed and stuff has been higher. All we do for the layers is, once they get close to laying age, we introduce some, oh my gosh, I can think of the name of it, oyster shell into the feed. just mix it in so they get it, and that'll bring up the calcium that may be lacking in the broiler feed. But that's what we use now. I'm clearing out some of these cells because we don't use some of the stuff. I don't want you to get confused or anything. So what Carrie did was he put in a description of what it is for. You know, he's calling this CCs, but at this point, it's not even CCs. It's just basically our poultry. So we're just going to call that poultry. That applies to everybody. And currently, we don't have 30 on the property. The layers, we have pullets currently. We just, if you check out the video that'll be going up for this one, we just processed 30 meat birds with only one loss, and it was a bonus check. And we also got a bonus of a unusual egg layer, which we're waiting to see if it is female or male, hoping it's female so we could have another unusual breed in the layer pen. But those black Australops that we had were almost 3 years old, and their lay was way down. Their eggs were of poor quality. They were being bullies. We wanted our pullets to have an opportunity to get some growth on them and get used to not having them in there as well. So since we were doing our processing of our meat birds, we went ahead and processed our old egg layers, hen and rooster, and they circulate back into the meat system by being pig feed. We don't have to necessarily do a gutting. We had the plucker and the scalder out, so we went ahead and scalded and plucked them, but then we just bagged them and put them in the freezer. We put one of them in the scalder pot that after we were done scalding, just let it simmer and cook a little bit and steam up, and you don't really have to worry about it. They're fine with that. So that's what we did, and that's what we do for the pigs. It is a little easier for them to digest if you can cook it a little bit, but with this case, everything's still in the bird, so I don't know that we'll be doing that. And it's hot enough that it'll, thaw out pretty quickly. So anyway, so right now, like I said, we have pullets in there, no eggs coming in, so I'm having to buy them. Wah, don't like that. I have not found anybody around that's selling eggs on a regular basis to purchase them from, or I would be buying from someone locally. So right now, like I said, egg layers, we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we have, it looks like we may have 2 roosters in there, so we may be back to 5 egg layer pullets at the moment. And on September 26th, the week of September 26th, we'll be getting another 30 meat birds. Those 30 meat birds are a Delaware breed, which is a multi breed. My plan is to try to be like it used to be in the farm days. It is getting difficult to process a large quantity of birds all at once. These will grow out slower, up to 14 weeks as they grow out instead of the regular 8, which is what you have with the kind of chickens that you buy in Walmart in the plastic wrap. It is a little longer grow out, like I said, but they're also good egg layers. They have a good personality. So this is going to be a little bit of an experiment, see how they are, see how it works out. I may introduce some of those into my egg layer breed and keep them on site. I may actually end up converting all the way over to them, keeping roosters, any roosters that I have, or pick a rooster and keep it in there and let them lay, pull them, put them into the incubator, and just keep up my supply in that way. And then, just have 2 separate areas for the way I feed meat. They're all going to be eating the same feed. It's just the amount that you give them over the period of time. You don't want fat, lazy hens. So that's going to be another 30 that'll be in there at the end of September. So we'll just leave that in there. And then the amount of feed per day that you're supposed to be giving them, and how much they eat a week, how much they eat a month, how many bags per month. He's got the calculation there, how old they are, and how much the feed is currently costing us, which is $18 a bag. And we get our feed from MPS Farms. It is near Centerville, and it's really not that far for us. And they come in 50-pound bags. They grow their own soy and corn on site, mill it themselves, and they do not add any chemicals to their farm. So that's a really good thing. And they're very hospitable, very good. You can get over there, you know, on the weekdays or even on Saturday. They're open to like noon. There are a few drop-off sites if you live in an area where they go and they used to do drop-offs. I don't know if they still do that, but they used to. So that's where we get that. And then he has the dates. He has some dates, like we try to keep it to once a month pickups from there. So we'll buy a certain amount of them and then bring them back home. And we store all of our feed in food grade barrels. We do not have a pallet fork to be able to buy the really large totes. And I don't know how well they would fare out there because we really just don't have a big enough farm for that. So this is how the spreadsheet's set up. We have a cell here for our, this out. We have one for sheep. I don't really monitor chick feed very much anymore because it just didn't seem to be worth it. They're not on it all that long. Maybe turkeys might be on it all that long, but you know, we are converting them over, like I said, to the broiler feed after just a week or so. So it really doesn't really make sense to even track that anymore. So we don't do that. So right now on the farm, what we have, like I said, is the few pullet chickens. We have 3 sheep, not 4, 1 male, 2 females, and their feed we buy from the local co-op. We didn't like the corn being in the sheep feed. We were told that wasn't a good thing. So we are getting it from the co-op, and it's $13.50 a bag, I believe. That went up just recently. So let's see. I think the last time we bought feed, we bought 4 bags. So then we have pigs. So we have 2 Durocs out there, 2 female Durocs out there growing out. And we do get their feed it's a non-soy swine. We get that from them. I think it's non-soy. And it's $12 a bag. So that's the feed that we're buying currently. This is a spreadsheet that will help you out with knowing how much feed you're going through, how much they should be eating, you know, that type of thing. You can add some cells and you probably could build this up to like know, you know, as the animal grows, you're supposed to give them 1% of their body weight, and you got to keep up on that. So that's kind of cool. And then if you pull down here, you'll see a spreadsheet of, actually, I think this one here is the spreadsheet for the pigs we currently have. Blackfoot and Whitefoot were American guinea hogs we started off with at our old property, and we just weren't real impressed with them. We actually lost one a couple of months before processing from pneumonia. So they're not really I don't know what the deal was with that, but there's no way to know when you're on a homestead what's going on. So as far as how they get these things, but we are calling them big and little. We don't really name animals that we aren't going to have keeping them on the homestead. If they're a breeder, we did name our sheep. The intention was to have a male and 2 females and keep them, and they would breed lambs, and then we would pull out our breeder male and castrate a male lamb to keep with him as company, keep him away from the girls altogether, and then we would process out, do whatever we were going to do as far as the sheep go. So right now it's 3, and our ram we're not sure about him. He's a little more aggressive than he should be. So he may not be in the next breeding program. We may reselect a new one from the breeder for that. So we shall see. So this is a tracker of that, and the measurements, you can look online on the formula and how to do it, how to measure your pig. You can do the same thing with sheep, different way with the measuring tape if they'll let you. And that gives you an idea of where you're at on your growth of your pigs. And you can do the same thing with your sheep, which I will probably have to add that on here, but I will not bore you with that. And let's see. So I also have on here, more importantly, a homestead expense spreadsheet. And basically all I have to do is print this and submit my receipts. You got to keep your receipts. And I do try to label my receipts as to what category they go into. So we have feed, we have bedding. This is strictly like, in the brooder, what I need to use the brooder, which you'll see it's really low lately because we had a really hot summer and they weren't able to be in the brooder in the building that we're using. So this is building supplies. You're always constantly needing building supplies, whether it be fencing or you're building a coop or you're doing repairs to something, that's always there. The only thing that's in fuel is going to be tractor fuels, fuels to operate the propane when you're processing things, that type of thing. Then there's some processing materials. Like I said, as you go through the process and you build up things, you won't be spending as much money on your processing materials because you've got it on hand. But there's times that you change up your processing. Like we had a scalder, the scalder wasn't working. We remade the scalder, so we had some expenses there that went into making a new scalder, which was, believe me, making your own scalder, if you can get it going, is a lot cheaper than trying to buy one. Thousands of dollars of investments. And then this is garden expenses and animal supplies. That's anything that isn't food. And this is actually animals themselves, how much they cost. When you're investing in animals, you can put that in there. And then I have educational materials. So if I need a book on how to care for sheep or something like that, and I invest in something like that. And then this is the farm equipment. This is going to be anything that can depreciate over time. Mowers, tractors, that kind of thing. And then he has it set up. Some of them I put in specifics, like if it's a large dollar amount, I'll put in specifics about what it is. And then down here it totals across, and so far it is August 29th, and there's my expenses so far. So so that's what I use for that, and it makes things a lot easier at the end of the year to keep that going and put it in as I go. I'll just kind of lay it in front of my computer. I don't do it on a daily basis. Absolutely do not do it on a daily basis. But it's just I lay it there, and I know I have to get it in. I put it in, and once it's in, then I can put it in the file. So that's how I organize things for taxes, and it's a really good idea to have that going, to get it going, especially if you just started. That way, it's there, and I have last year's recorded in there, and everything's neat and tidy. So, well, I'm going to let you go for now and let you all get back to work. So thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. God bless.